I got an email one night at like 3 in the morning and it said, "Fire, bro, send more. Where you from?" And it was from Murda. I just bombarded Murda's freaking email. That's what he finally told me. He's like, "Bro, I just had to click on it because your fucking name was always at the top of my list." He's like, I just was like, "Who's this guy, JordanFox?" Your boy JordanFox with ProducerGrind, and this is Sample Maker 101. It was 2012, and I just graduated college. I just found out that my computer had an iMac that I could, record music on it. And I freaking was just fascinated. I started on GarageBand and then to Logic Pro once I kind of figured out, oh, okay, this does that. And Logic Pro has more stuff. Moved over to Machine because I was into beat making and like I just love the idea of drum pads and I'd seen Ninth Wonder use it and all that stuff. I was selling beat leases for like years, like $30 a pop, and I was pretty happy with that. And then I kind of took notice of like credits on Spotify. I was like, oh shit, okay, there's multiple producers on these things, not just the tag that's on there. And I was like, what do those guys do? And sure shit, they just did the melodies. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that seems like there's less guys doing that than making beats. Maybe I'll do that. So I started, making some melodies, and then I was like, you know what, I might as well put this shit out. And I knew Looperman existed, and I put my shit on Looperman. That was probably like 2016, 2017. And I was just seeing how many people would download my stuff. And then Lab Cook, Rich the Kid's producer, still my close buddy, he hit me up. He noticed me on Looperman. He's like, hey, I'm putting together a team of guys. I want you to stop posting on Looperman and just send me your stuff. And from that point on, I was like, oh, whoa, okay, I can actually like make some stuff out of this. Like I was saying, after Lab Cook, I just was working and sending, kind of networking horizontally. Of course, who the big names are in hip hop, and I've always loved Murda shit. And, I was just kind of maneuvering, making stuff and connecting with people that I thought I could connect with, and through ProLogic, through Foster, who's another guy that Murda has signed, one of my good buddies. I was sending him stuff, and I think that Foster and Murda were in the studio one night, and they brought up my samples, or Foster brought on. He's like, oh, this is dope, but didn't take notice of my name. Long story short, I DM Murda and said, hey, I've been working with ProLogic, who's, boys with Murda, and Foster obviously signed to him. And he responded and just sent his email. And then from that point on, I just was sending him my stuff, Dropbox links. Probably like 2 months went by me just sending the stuff. And then I was saying that I got an email one night at like 3 in the morning and it said, fire, bro, send more. Where you from? And it was from Murda. And I sent him my phone number, and he gave me a call that night, and we like talked, and he's like, oh, your shit's dope, and downloading all of it. And then another like 4 months went by where I was just sending him stuff, and he was downloading it, Dropbox links. And then he hit me on Instagram and was like, hey, bro, I want to sign you. He's like, you mess with the team. He's like, you're already, it's a perfect fit type of thing. I just bombarded Murda's freaking email. That's what he finally told me. He's like, bro, I just had to click on it because your fucking name was always at the top of my list. I like to stick to like once a week, every Saturday or Friday type of thing I sent. But back then, because it was 2020, I was home and I had nothing else to do. Like everything was shut down. I was just grinding. So I was just probably twice a week, like send them like 11, 12 samples twice a week. So I was really knocking them out type of thing. 30 Rock, I've been working with him for a while. He wanted to sign me there for a while. I talked to his manager, Eric. Great guys, 30's great. But we got a placement with Lil Yachty, Lil Baby. And that was on the deluxe for Lil Boat 3.5. I think it was the name of the deluxe. And then, like I was saying before, ProLogic, we had a bunch with Nav, and one ended up coming out on the deluxe for that too. So those were cool. And then some, like Lil Skies, Lil Nar, that was a little single that they released. And then Lil Nar released his full album just the other day. Just got my first European placement with Olesh, I think is how you say his name, the other day. That was pretty fire. And then some stuff in the works, obviously, too. And then the Migos placement, too. Don't get me wrong. The digital stuff sounds great. Like, I love Analog Lab. I love Omnisphere. I love all that shit, But, like, there's something about having the instrument in your room, next on your hands with the knobs that you can touch. Like, it's cool to program the shit, and it's always going to work type of thing. You don't have to worry about cabling and all this patched shit and all that other stuff. So, like, there's definitely pros to using software because I still use a ton of it. But this, like, to me, it just, you feel like you're like a musician, and it's just like, you feel like you're touching something that's tangible. You see what it looks like. It inspires you to like want to come down to your room too, because it's all like down there. You know, the setup's fucking crazy. You spend all the time setting it up. So it's just like an investment in your craft as far as I'm concerned, you know? So like that shit, you know, it was a no brainer for me. And like I was saying before, the freaking, the visual representation of like your investment in what you're doing to me was like a business decision. So I was like, oh, you know, that might be a shortcut to make people take me seriously. Rather than just hearing my music, they could see like, oh, this shit, this guy's into his stuff, you know, like he's into this. The Prophet 10 at the top, Mellotron, Moog 1, Prophet X down here. And then this is kind of an older one. I don't play this a ton, but this is kind of like my transient spot here down here. It's in Sonic SQ80. So that's kind of a fun little synthesizer. Up top is the Mini Moog. That's the OG, which I just got worked on, and that thing's sounding great. The Super 6, which is a cool one too, a little modern synth. The D50, Juno 106, the Juno 60, and on the far rack, I've got the OB6 at the top, Casio CZ 3000. Then this is the Yamaha SK20, and then the Korg Poly 6, and then at the very bottom is the Yamaha CS15. So little mixture of like mono and poly synths all across the board type of thing. I got the Kawai up here. This is a PH50. This thing's got some cool sounds on it. And then this is another little Kawai. I got this thing from Salvation Army. It's like $20. And then the CP25, which is electric piano from Yamaha. And then the Rhodes in the back, but that's out of commission right now, which kind of sucks. But I got this G2 switcher down here. It's like each independent like circuit for it, so you can select. It's hard to see. I wish I had another camera to be able to show you. But you can select the order in which you want to like put the pedals. Like it's so dope. But I got like the Strymons up here. Got the Microcosm. This Zoya pedals dope. The Mooger Fooger. I think I'm saying that right. That's the delay. The MF 104M. But yeah, they're all fire, dude. It's so much fun. I definitely would look at like the genre that you're making. Like, I mean, I guess like with hip hop stuff, someone told me, I think it's Oscar Zulu told me, he's like, he knows a little bit more about music theory than I do. I don't know much. But he just told me like the common chord progressions by the root note. So like a 1, 3, whatever, you know, that whole structure of things is, but just learning those common chord progressions that work in tons of songs, in the genre that you're making, I'd say that would be a starting point. But I've heard from a bunch of people, it's as simple as just learning your scales. Like if you learn your scales, like it just comes together and makes sense. So it's funny, like when you say like recommend, I've had so many people DM me and be like, hey, I'm trying to buy my first synth. Which one do you recommend? I always fall back on the Rev 2. I had the 8 voice one, and I'm not kidding. I don't know. I sold it like an asshole, but I sold it before Modern Day came out. In Modern Day, the little bouncy like ARP sound, that was the Prophet, the Rev 2. So basically, like I was telling before, this is one of those samples. I had a workflow that I don't do a ton, but sometimes it works out. It's just really time consuming. But basically what I was doing was I would just record a long ass, like kind of like your Nick Dean interview. I was just recording a long ass series of sounds, and then just like with each one of my boards. So I'd have like the Mellotron going, and then I'd have the Moog going, and then I would have some kind of, you know, different MIDI. I think I probably had like arcade over here on this keyboard, and I was just playing and recording the sounds as I was going, playing in the same scale type of thing. And then, yeah, you just like chop it in the sampler. You just drop the sample in here. And I just would like chop it up and then find parts that I thought were fire and layer it on top of it. So it's one composition of music that I was just layering sounds on. So like if I play this right now, I think this is the last sound that I put in there. Let me see. But like a different pitch. So that's like, So that's, I'm sure, some like crazy, I'm flipping through presets and shit on the different profits and stuff, whatever I was using. And I just layer the different sounds on it. So like this first part is some chop of that original sample. So let me see if I wish I could find the actual chop of it, but like I just kind of scroll around until I find something.
Whew, that's just stupid. And that's the arcade flute joint, ain't it?
I think so, yeah. I wish I could find where I did the. And I just play it like different pitches and then just find some crazy shit and then layer it and tempo match it.
So you had like one hand on your regular keyboard playing something arcade and just the other on your like board playing something?
Yeah, so I've got my main MIDI keyboard. I built this desk, so I like have my main MIDI keyboard down here. So yeah, I literally was like Mike Dean in it, dude, like just fucking playing all the shit and then just letting it record so I could chop it later.
So talk about like the effects and processing you put on your master.
So it's kind of changes like everything, but I really love these UAD plugins. Plus, you know, I bought them, so I want to use them. So yeah, basically, I mean, this thing isn't even doing any compression. I just love how this Fairchild sounds on certain samples. Like when you want them to sound like aggressive and gritty, just the tubes on it alone. I mean, of course it's software, but it sounds like it just kind of brings it alive type of thing. So I was using that back then. The Ampex too, just a little bit of tape emulation on this, and I think I just use the default setting and just kind of adjust to taste. And then this EP34 where it's like a really low delay, like you can see the volume level of it is like, and it barely repeats, but it kind of, I feel like, opens up the space just a little bit and makes it feel a little bit wider than it does. And then a Neve preamp, which is kind of weird because usually you use a preamp before, but I don't know, I like what it does on the master chain of this too. So
I know a lot of time beginner sample makers struggle with two things. One is counter melodies and then the other is like knowing when the melody is full. So kind of like, how do you solve both of those two things?
Yeah, that's definitely tricky. To me, like I was saying, I like to put in some common drum sounds, like where they'll go. So like I have like a template drum pattern typically, and that kind of gives me an idea if things are getting too busy. And really, like, I kind of mix visually too, because like I look at the frequency range of things and just like in an EQ, and you can kind of see if it's too busy. Like, you know where a vocal is going to fit, you know, because that's the goal. You want to get a vocal on it. So, but space, man, I feel like that's the hardest part for me, is just finding the proper space and the sound selection to be able to make somebody want to hop on it. It gives it that pocket type of thing, or someone even just to, you know, put drums over the top of it. But yeah, I just say like less is more most of the time. I always try to think like what part is going to catch, what part's going to catch like the drum guy, the drum producer, you know, whether it's Murda, Tay Keith, you know, this one, I think Tay Keith probably would fucking just destroy, but what would catch their ear like right off the bat, like, oh shit, like this grabs my attention type of thing. So for me, arrangement, I always want to put that part that I think is like, oh shit, this grabs you right from the get-go at the very front. But it kind of gets that energy type of thing going. And then, you know, put in some other sounds. Like I think this is just a reverse sound, just something to kind of build it up at the turnaround. This is from the OB6 too. And this isn't too eventful, but this sound is from Arcade, which is, I love Arcade. But it kind of, again, just gives it more like kind of ambience, fills in that pocket of space. And then I'm a sucker for the frickin' piano stabs on the octave stab, but just something kind of, you know, makes it feel angry and dark type of thing, you know, really kind of gets it aggressive, that aggressive tone to it. And then I got this bass from my Analog Lab bank that I think is fire. It's like a Moog sound. But yeah, I just hit them with all that shit. And this is a part I learned from other guys. Like when I was on Twitch, stemming out different parts at the end. Like I was like, oh shit, like that's the way to do it. This is a lot of my hardware. So it's kind of a cool one. You fuck with that? Oh, this one was like inspired me like crazy. I believe I started with this sound. Just some like weird ambient, like fucking spacey shit. And again, just there's no real, I mean, I'm not even really quantizing anything on that audio. It's just like, look at that wave file. It's just crazy looking. And then just layering shit. It's like this one. Again, Prophet, but I think I reversed it. But really simple, you know. And then, and this is just, oh, sorry. I'm just going one sound by sound. My fault. I totally killed that.
Any like certain process you put on individual sounds, or these are just straight out the hardware?
I mean, yeah, like you can kind of hear like the tape shit. I love RC20. I mean, who doesn't love RC20? But I was pretty much running it through that, and then some of my pedal shit, dude. You know, so like I think that was. Let me think. I think that might have been like Microcosm that I was going through. It's hard to remember exactly, but I know that most of the time I'm not just going to send the sound like a raw signal. You know, typically I like to go through my pedals or some kind of plug-in to be able to do it. But I mean, commonly like a reverb or maybe like a little bit of delay or something, you know. So yeah, nothing crazy, you know. It's just like to me, it's just sound selection, you know. Like I just like want to make sure that it's the right sounds and the spots that they need to be. But this one, like again, like we were talking about ear candy, or you said ear candy. I feel like I catch shit because it doesn't progress. It's just fucking spacey sounds, you know, like there's no real melody to it. So it's hard for people to like grasp to, but it shit sounds crazy to me. But like this part, I tried to ground it in this. I know for a fact that this was the Prophet X. And that was the Prophet X piano. Hell yeah.
Hell yes.
Yeah, pick that up. This is still the kid, huh?
Yeah.
Hell yeah, I'm picking this up. I love what you did at the end of those things, dude. Like how you chopped it and reversed it and pitched it, dude.
Yeah.
That's fucking brilliant. Oh yeah, I fuck with that sound.
Hey, why you did this, bro? I wasn't even finna cook. Like I was just finna.
Jesus. That's hard.
Hey, bro, don't laugh, bro. Let me just record this vocal real quick, bro. You know what I'm saying? You ain't gonna hear me though, cause I gotta switch my driver.
Oh, you're cut. Oh,
Give me like, give me like 3 minutes. You feel me? All right, we back in the business. You know what I'm saying?
When that sound shifter was loading, you were like,
I was going in, bro. I was going in. I was getting mad as a bitch, bro. I was like, come on,
fuck,
bro.
dude. Not again. Sorry.
You got like any other type of like advice you want to hear to seven makers? Like, what would it be?
I mean, it's like it's corny, but like I mean, like I was saying, I was a teacher, man. You know, like especially you asked about kids, you know, young sample makers trying this out. Just don't give up, dude. You know, the only people that lose are quitters. You know, like that's the only people. You know, like you just got to keep at it. I'm fucking 33, dude. You know, and like just past couple of years, things started to happen. So I don't know. It's fun as hell, man. You just gotta love it. You know. That's really what it boils down to. So, yeah, that's all I got. I'm off my soapbox, bro.
Man, there you go, man. It's a wrap, man.